We are outside the map, and today we're taking you to discover an England that seems straight out of a storybook. Can you imagine walking among crooked medieval houses, crystal clear rivers, and streets that hold centuries-old secrets? On this journey, we'll explore 10 magical villages, places that inspire poets, hide legends, and astonish with their untouched beauty. More than just landscapes, they are doorways to history and the unknown. Open your eyes wide. You are about to enter the most enchanting England. Ready to start this journey? Then, let's begin. Bibury, the golden jewel of the Cotswolds. Our journey begins in the heart of Gloucestershire, within the region known as the Cotswolds, an area of gentle hills and rural landscapes that stretches like a green mosaic across the map of England. Here we find Bibury, a tiny village that seems made to be quietly admired. Its most famous corner is Arlington Row, a row of houses built in the 14th century as simple wool barns. With the rise of the textile industry, they were converted into weavers' cottages, and today they are one of the most photographed spots in the country. What makes Bibury so special is Cotswold stone, a characteristic material of the region that ages to a warm golden hue, as if permanently bathed in sunset light. That golden glow, combined with the sloping rooftops and the serenity of the River Colne winding through the village, gives it an almost unreal atmosphere. During the Middle Ages, Bibury thrived thanks to the wool industry, which made the Cotswolds one of England's most important textile centers. Walking its streets today is like traveling back in time, imagining the bustle of merchants and artisans who once brought the village to life. It's no wonder that William Morris, the great British poet and designer, described it as the most beautiful village in England. And perhaps upon seeing it, you'll understand why. Bibury is not just a picturesque scene, but a true portrait of rural England at its finest. And if Bibury seems like a golden painting frozen in time, our next destination takes us even further back, to a medieval village where history seems to breathe from every corner, Castle Combe. Castle Combe, the perfect medieval setting. In the county of Wiltshire in southwest England lies a place that seems to defy time, Castle Combe. On the map, it appears tiny, but arriving there feels like stepping into a medieval painting, where every detail has remained intact for centuries. Its stone houses, many built between the 14th and 15th centuries, are aligned with a harmony that amazes visitors. These homes were constructed during the golden age of the textile industry, when Castle Combe thrived thanks to wool production, a resource that made the region one of medieval England's economic engines. What captivates visitors most is the deliberate absence of modern elements. You won't see power lines crossing the facades or telephone poles disrupting the landscape. This conscious decision to maintain authenticity gives the village a sense of time standing still, as if every stone whispers stories from the past. It's no surprise that Castle Combe has become a renowned film location. Movies such as Dr. Dolittle, 1967, and more recently, Steven Spielberg's War Horse were filmed here. The streets provide a natural set that needs no artificial enhancements. Walking through Castle Combe feels like stepping into the very heart of the Middle Ages, a place where the real and the imagined seem to merge. And if Castle Combe is a journey into medieval splendor, our next destination takes us to a Tudor village full of color, timber-framed houses, and legends of prosperity, Lavenham in Suffolk. Lavenham, the Tudor treasure of Suffolk. In the county of Suffolk in eastern England stands one of the country's most extraordinary villages, Lavenham. On the map, it appears as a small dot, but arriving there makes you feel as if you've stepped onto a unique stage, where time has left its mark with delicacy and mystery. The first thing that catches the eye is its Tudor architecture. The timber-framed houses, painted in vivid colors, seem to twist and bend with the passing centuries, creating streets that undulate and facades that lean as if alive. This almost fantastical aspect gives the village a character that is unmistakable, impossible to find anywhere else. During the 15th century, Lavenham was one of England's wealthiest villages thanks to the wool trade. Its prosperity attracted merchants who built mansions, churches, and guild halls that still speak of that splendor today. The best example is the Guildhall, a magnificent black and white timbered building that served as the headquarters of the powerful Wool Merchants Guild, and now functions as a museum. But Lavenham is not just official history. The village is steeped in ghost legends, especially at the famous Swan Hotel, a 15th century building where, according to tales, footsteps, whispers, and doors closing by themselves can still be heard. This mix of beauty and mystery makes every visit feel enchanting. Lavenham is, in short, a Tudor treasure that preserves both the wealth and the shadows of its past. Each village we visit opens a window into a magical England, where history, beauty, and legends intertwine in every corner. And this is just the beginning. Many more storybook-like places await us. If you enjoy traveling with us through these hidden gems, we invite you to be part of the adventure. Subscribe to our channel and hit the bell so you won't miss any of the next destinations we have prepared. Let's keep exploring together. Robin Hood's Bay, where legends come to life. On the Yorkshire coast, overlooking the North Sea, lies Robin Hood's Bay, a village that seems perched on the cliffs like a giant Lego set. Its houses stack one on top of the other, descending in steps toward the beach, forming a labyrinth of narrow streets that invite you to get lost and discover every corner. But Robin Hood's Bay is not just a visual spectacle. Its history is marked by mystery and adventure. For centuries, it was a refuge for smugglers who built secret tunnels to move contraband and evade the authorities. Every stone seems to hold a secret. Every street tells a story of illicit trade filled with cunning and risk. The village's name also sparks curiosity. Is there a real connection to Robin Hood, the legendary outlaw, or is it just a myth woven over time? The truth is that the figure of Robin Hood has accompanied local history and imagination, making every visit a journey through tradition and legend. And we cannot forget its seafaring connection. Inhabitants have faced the dangers of the North Sea for centuries, enduring storms and treacherous tides. Fishing and navigation remain essential parts of the village's identity, blending daily life with the epic struggle of coastal survival. Robin Hood's Bay is, therefore, a place where history, myth, and real life intertwine, a setting that reminds us that England hides treasures that surprise at every turn. From these mysterious cliffs, our journey now takes us to a hanging village in Devon, where life without cars and the endless slope await, Clovelly. Clovelly, the village where time stood still. On the rugged coast of Devon, perched on cliffs overlooking the North Sea, lies one of England's most unique villages, Clovelly. On the map, it appears as a tiny dot, but visiting it makes you feel as if you've stepped into another world. Its backbone is the High Street, a cobbled road that descends steeply and windingly down to the harbor. There are no cars here. The slope is so steep that daily life has adapted in a completely different way. For centuries, villagers have used wooden sledges to transport goods, food, or any heavy load, sliding them down the cobbled street to the sea, a unique system that remains part of the village's routine today. Clovelly also has an unusual feature. It has been privately owned by the Hamlin family for over 800 years. This has allowed the village to preserve its historic character with exceptional care. Every house, every corner, maintains an architectural harmony seemingly untouched by time. But Clovelly is not just stone and tradition, it's also a seafaring village. Its sheltered harbor was a refuge for fishermen and traders for centuries. And even today, it keeps that connection to the ocean alive. Among its most famous visitors was Charles Dickens, who was captivated by its picturesque atmosphere and described it in detail in his writings. Walking through Clovelly is like hearing the echo of centuries of coastal life, where the harshness of the sea blends with the warmth of a village that has never lost its essence. From these cliffs, our journey now takes us to a completely different setting, a medieval hilltop village full of cobbled streets and crooked houses. We are talking about Rye in East Sussex. Rye, the harbor that inspired the greats. In East Sussex, atop a hill overlooking the confluence of the Rother and Tilling rivers, lies Rye, a medieval port that for centuries was part of the strategic Cinque Ports system. Designed to protect England from sea invasions, on the map, Rye stands out as a historic point that still preserves the essence of its defensive and commercial importance. Walking through Rye is like exploring a living museum. Its most famous street, Mermaid Street, cobbled and lined with centuries-old crooked houses, is considered the most photographed street in the country. Every window, every facade, tells stories of merchants, sailors, and travelers who passed through here. Rye was also home and refuge to distinguished writers such as Henry James and E.F. Benson, who found in its streets and atmosphere an endless source of inspiration. The combination of history, architecture, and scenery gave the village a unique literary air. Among its most emblematic buildings is the Mermaid Inn, a hostel with over 600 years of history. Its walls have hosted merchants, adventurers, and notable figures. And even today, the presence of that vibrant past lingers, full of stories, secrets, and mysteries that transcend time. Rye is, in short, a port where history, literature, and medieval charm converge. A place that sparks the imagination and makes visitors feel part of something greater than everyday life. And as we leave this literary port behind, we head north to a lakeland village surrounded by mountains, home to romantic poets, Grasmere, in the Lake District. Grasmere, the poetic soul of England. In the Lake District, among green hills and tranquil lakes, lies Grasmere, a small village that has been both the cradle and refuge of one of the most influential movements in English literature, Romanticism. On the map, Grasmere appears as a hidden dot among mountains, yet its influence transcends centuries and borders. The historical heart of poetic inspiration is Dove Cottage, home of William Wordsworth for much of his life. Its walls and gardens witness the creation of poems that capture the essence of nature and human emotion. Wordsworth not only found a home in Grasmere, but a landscape that spoke directly to his soul, transforming hills, lakes, and trails into verses that are now part of the global literary canon. Grasmere is also a village of living traditions. Every summer, locals celebrate Grasmere Sports, a rural sports festival, keeping centuries-old competitions like races, wrestling, and stone throwing alive. It is also famous for its gingerbread, a sweet treat that has delighted locals and visitors for centuries, made with a unique recipe reflecting the village's identity. Beyond history and tradition, what makes Grasmere magical is its natural inspiration. Every path along the lake, every mist-covered hill, and every nearby forest seems to whisper poems to the visitor. Here, literature and landscape merge, reminding us that England's beauty is found not only in cities and castles, but also in the poetry born from nature. Bourton-On-The-Water, the Venice of the Cotswolds. In the heart of Gloucestershire, within the Cotswolds, lies Bourton-On-The-Water, a village nicknamed the Venice of the Cotswolds, thanks to its winding river and stone bridges. On the map, it appears as a peaceful dot, but walking its streets feels like stepping into a storybook scene. The river Windrush, which crosses the main street since Saxon times, is the true heart of the village. Spanning its waters are low stone bridges, built in the 18th century, connecting neighborhoods and creating postcard-perfect views. Strolling over them is immersing yourself in centuries of history while listening to the gentle murmur of the river. Among Bourton-On-The-Water's curiosities is the Model Village, a scaled-down replica of the village itself that allows you to see its architecture and alleyways in miniature. This unique feature reflects the residents' care and affection for their history. The village also keeps living traditions, such as football matches played on the river and summer festivals that fill the streets with music, color, and life. These activities make every visit a complete experience, where history, culture, and community intertwine. Bourton-On-The-Water is, therefore, an example of how a village can be simultaneously a postcard setting, a historical refuge, and a hub of local life. And if Bourton-On-The-Water enchants with its bridges and festivals, our next destination takes us to the cliffs of Yorkshire, to a village of legends and smugglers, Robin Hood's Bay. Chipping Campden, the Golden Wool Route. In the heart of Gloucestershire, among the rolling hills of the Cotswolds, lies Chipping Campden, a village embodying the wealth and tradition of the region. On the map, it appears as a strategic point that historically connected markets and trade routes. And today, it continues to captivate any visitor. The High Street of Chipping Campden, in Jacobean style, has been described as one of the most beautiful streets in England. Its golden stone facades and sloping roofs reflect centuries of prosperity and architectural care, offering a postcard frozen in time. At the center of the village stands the market hall, built in the 17th century as a meeting point for merchants and buyers. Perfectly preserved, it reminds visitors of Chipping Campden's importance as a wool trading center during the Middle Ages, when the region was famous for its golden wool that boosted its economy and prestige. Just steps away, St. James's Church impresses with 15th century art and architecture, stained glass, sculptures, and Gothic details transporting visitors to the religious and cultural splendor of the era. But Chipping Campden is not only about history and architecture. For over 400 years, the community has kept alive a unique tradition: the Cotswold Olympics, local sports competitions blending strength, skill, and fun, showing that the village's culture is built through the participation of its inhabitants. Chipping Campden is thus a place where history, tradition, and community life intertwine, offering a complete journey through the wealth of the Cotswolds. Throughout this journey, we've discovered that the true magic of England is not only in its grand landscapes or famous monuments, but in the everyday preserved: cobbled streets, golden houses, medieval markets, and traditions that remain alive. Each village we visit is a small universe where history, legend, and daily life intertwine, inviting us to look closely and in wonder. Now we invite you to do the same on your own explorations. Walk, discover hidden corners, listen to stories, and feel the atmosphere of each place. Every journey is personal and unique, and these villages teach us that history and magic often lie in the details we might otherwise overlook. But our adventure through the magical corners of the British Isles is just beginning.